Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Transformational Storytellers show. It's another day for another interview, and today I have a special guest. And if you are a mom or a parent or a caregiver or anyone who's in a child's life, we got a treat for you because I have Olivia. Hi, Olivia.
Hi, Elena.
How are you doing today?
Great. I'm really excited to be here with you.
Oh, I am so excited. I have so much respect and admiration for you and for the work that you do. And for those of you who don't know Olivia, she is the founder of Mommy Groove Therapy and Parent Coaching. She's also a psychotherapist, she's a parent coach, she's a speaker. I mean, so much wisdom today. She helps mothers nurture kind, confident, happy kids without yelling or timeouts. So I'm going to share more about Olivia in a little bit. But first, Olivia, why don't you share your transformational story with us?
Of course. Well, first, thank you so much for having me here, Elena. It's a real pleasure. Um, I am a parent to three kids. My daughter was two when my twins were born, and that really shaped my life and it really shaped my career. Um, so I found during that time, I really learned firsthand how much support that parents need and how little is easily accessible. So I think a lot of parents are having kids away from their family of origin, so you don't have that built-in level of support. I think a lot of parents too know what not to do, but maybe not what to do. I think maybe we don't want to parent in the way our parents did with us. Maybe we don't want to use um, threats or bribes or timeouts or harsh punishment or yelling. But I think a lot of us grew up with that. So I think for a lot of us,
Mhm.
even if you swear up and down, I'll never do that thing, I'll never say that thing my mom did or my dad did. When you're stressed, when you're tired, when you're overwhelmed, out pops that thing. And I think then we go down that shame spiral, right? Where you feel like, gosh, why did I do that? I'm not a good mom. So
Mhm.
for me, when my kids were little, I had one of those moments when it was just one of those days where nothing was going well. My kids were fairly young, and so I think the twins were still in diapers. My daughter was there for just a couple years older than they were, right? So um, it was raining out, it was hot out, we couldn't go outside for the day. No one was napping. My kids were not great nappers. No one would, they would maybe nap, but not all at the same time. So
Yep.
I had lots of, maybe you've been there. It's, and sometimes as a parent, you just need a break during the day, right? You just need them to go to sleep at least for a little while. So anyway, it was just one of those days where things were just not working in my favor. My husband was also away for the day, so I knew there was no cavalry coming in to save me for a long time. I knew it would be hours. So it was just one of those days where it was just a perfect storm. And then one of my kids, one of the twins, the little ones, I think he was hit his brother over the head with a toy, or did something that, he kind of lashed out at his brother. Something that toddlers do when they're, they don't have the words to express their frustration, so they act out. Um, and so for me, I saw that and I just hit the roof. I knew that that's not how I wanted my kids to behave. I didn't want them to be violent with each other or hurt each other because mama bear comes out, right? When we see one of our kids being hurt,
Yes.
even if it's one of our other children who's doing the hurting, I think for us, as parents, we really want to protect and defend our kids. And so I got really angry. And I picked one up and put him in the corner, picked the other kid up, put him in the corner. And I used one of those harsh tone. And I think I even went like this, I'm looking at you. And so it was just not usually who I am as a person, but this came out. It was like this was unleashed in one of those moments where I was just tired and fed up and I didn't know what else to do. And so for me, that was really hitting bottom. And I realized I did not want to be a scary mom. I did
Mhm.
not want to, I saw the look in my children's faces and they were scared. You know, this is, and for a child, imagine that somebody who's like twice or three times as big as you know, bearing down at you and they're upset, they're angry, you know, that is, I can't imagine it now of like a giant person where, you know, kind of coming at me, how scary that would be. Let alone that's someone who you are depending on, who you love, who you trust, who's everything. You know, that's the center of your universe, right? Your mother, you know, your
Mhm.
parent. And to have that person turn on you and to be so upset with you, you know, it's pretty scary. And me, I was scared too. I was not happy with my own behavior. And just to look in their eyes, look in their faces, I just knew that something had to change. This is not the person I wanted to be. This is not who I was. Um, so I decided then to really orient my practice as a therapist. And later I became a parent coach to really helping parents through these hard moments because we all get there sometimes.
Yep.
You know, Alina, nobody's perfect. We all have those moments where we're just not at our finest. Even if you, again, we swear we're not going to do that, and then we do sometimes because we do fall down. We're not, you know, nobody's perfect. And I think what's really important is to make the repair, to go back to your child and to say, I'm sorry, I didn't want to do that. That's not how I should have been. I'm going to work on it. I'm going to do better. But I think it begs the question, what do you do in the moment? When you're having
Mm,
those moments where you can see, I think usually we see like the clouds rolling in, right? We can see, you know, you're having one of those days, you know, your patience is wearing thin. Maybe your shoulders go up and your stomach drops and you feel it physically in your body. You know, you feel it, the aggravation growing. You
yeah.
know, it's like the steam is going to come out. It's going to explode out of you unless you take steps to slow things down. Because I think that when we do behave in a really rash way, in a really angry way, you know, it feels like it's really all of a sudden. Usually there's some kind of a buildup. So if you
Mm,
can start to identify that as a parent, as a person, and by the way, this is universal. I
yeah.
think that, you know, this works in all relationships. It's not just with children. It can be with your partner, your parents, your friends, your family. I think sometimes we all lash out at people that are closest to us. And I think that, you know, being human, that is a challenge, right? How do you handle these big feelings in a way that's not damaging, that's not harmful, that's not scary?
Yeah.
I think for little people, our kids, whose brains aren't fully mature until they're 25, right? That's a long time. So we're modeling to them, how do you handle frustration? How do you handle anger and upset and not do it in a way that's hurtful to other people? In other words, it's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be mad. You will get that way. It will happen. It's what you do with it. So how do you respond instead of just reacting?
Yeah.
So I think what's key is that and I came up with just a little quick system, something just to, you know, it's easy to remember, uh, to help you in that process of slowing things down. And it's called SSS.
Yes.
Stop, soften, see. So first step, when you know you're getting to that place, or maybe it's already come out of your mouth, you already said something you regret, or you see it coming again, you can feel the buildup again in your body, you feel it, you're about to explode. I want you to stop. Take a deep cleansing breath. We want to slow things down. Because when they go from 0 to 60 like that and we just erupt, I think that is the place where, you know, we're trying to find the off ramp.
Yeah.
Yeah. So instead of going to level 11 and you find it at level 3, okay, I know I'm getting to that place. What can I do right now? I'm going to stop. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to slow things down. Maybe you step away to go to the bathroom. Maybe you wash your hands with cold water. Maybe you get a sip of water, or you go listen to a song for, 30 seconds or 60 seconds. In other words, how do we need to interrupt the flow. So instead of flying up, and hitting that ceiling, you want to, like, again, find the off ramp at level 3 or so. So okay, I'm going to interrupt. I'm going to stop. So that's the first S. And then we go to soften. The person
Mm,
in front of you, whether it's your child or your partner, that child, that was your baby. That's still your baby. Now your partner is, that's the person that you chose to be with, whom you love.
yeah.
Not losing sight of that, because I think, when we have those goggles on, it's like they are the enemy. They are out to do me harm. So I need to, like, gear up and do battle, and I need to, like, attack them before they attack me. That's the mindset when you go into fight or flight. You need to defend or attack.
Mm,
That person is again, that's your baby. You don't need to attack them. They're not going to hurt you. You don't need to defend yourself. So slowing things down, softening towards them. I even have folks remember how it was to hold your child in your arms. Have that visual. Remember what it was like to look down at that baby. Imagine that in your arms. Remember how they used to smell. But remember you would smell that lovely baby smell. So really, if you can visualize it, if you can smell that baby scent. In other words, can you bring yourself back to that moment when they were little, they were innocent, they were young. That's the same person that's standing in front of you. And then seeing. The last S is see. See their point of view.
Mhm.
Of course your kid wants to play with that toy when their brother's playing with it. Of course, it's scarcity mindset, right? That there's that thing, I want it, and of course I'm gonna like hit him over the head to go get it. It's an understandable response to a situation, and they are immature, so of course they're gonna behave immaturely.
Yeah.
So that seeing their point of view, I think, is really critical because it allows you to have that empathy. You can understand. You don't have to agree with it. I'm not saying like hitting your brother over the head to have the toy is a good thing or something they should be doing. Not at all. But if you can approach them, come alongside them and understand where they're coming from as opposed to at them, in a scary, frightening kind of a way where they're not going to be internalizing. My kids sitting in the timeout corner, they were not listening to what I was saying. They were not learning a lesson. The lesson they were learning is that mom is scary and mom is upset. And, I want it to stop. I want to get out
Mhm.
of this corner. I want to go play again.
Yeah.
You're not teaching the lesson when they're in fight or flight or when you are. And you can go to them after the fact, once you've softened, once you've seen their point of view. Okay, of course, you want to play with that toy. I understand. It's your brother's turn right now.
Mm.
He's done, he'll give it to you. So that allows you to change your approach. So you're not, like I said, you're not coming at somebody, you're actually coming alongside them, you're joining with them. That's when kids learn. They don't learn when they're scared. None of us do. They learn
Absolutely.
when they're in a place that's open and they understand mom is on my side, she gets it. She might not agree with what I'm saying. She might say no to what I'm doing. And she gets it. She understands. It's not like she's the enemy or we're in this power struggle and I'm on one side and she's on the other side and we need to kind of conquer each other and win. No, you're looking for win-win solutions. And I think these are life skills. If you can show your kid how you represent, what their needs are, what their wants are, and do it in a way that's respectful, do it in a way that's not, you don't need to use force. You can be kind and compassionate and charming about it. That will go a long way.
I
Those are
love
life
it.
skills.
Yeah, that is amazing. And it's such a revolutionary yet simple approach. And I have more questions about that, but I want to highlight that we all have a moment in our lives, or many moments, in which this scary person comes out. Like you said, that's not who you were. That's not who you really are. That's what they see, right?
Right.
So that's super important that we don't beat ourselves up thinking that we are the scary person. And I like that you reflected that back, at yourself, saying, that's not who I am. I am a loving mom. I am a calm mom, which is what you help moms become. And so I really love that distinction that you made. And thank you so much for sharing your story, because it is something that has been definitely vilified in the media. And we want to pretend that none of us have those moments when all of us have them. We've all, yelled at our children or put them in timeout. We don't know what else to do. So it's a last resort for us. Nobody wakes up in the morning thinking today is going to be the day that I'm going to yell and put people in timeout. That's just basically, like you said, a fight or flight response. So I'm really happy that you share that based on your expertise as a psychotherapist and parent coach, because sometimes we don't give ourselves permission to understand that ourselves. And so, having shared your story so vulnerably, and also the 3S method, why do you think it's important for everyone to share their story?
Well, I think, when we don't share our stories and we try to portray this image that we're perfect or that, we never make mistakes, I think that gives a real false image, not only to our friends and family, but, to our kids. And it does them a disservice. Because when we share that we have made a mistake, when we share that this is something that I learned from, I'm working on, that we're trying to eliminate the sense of perfectionism as being, the goal. Nobody is perfect. If that's the goal, if the goal is perfect, you're going to fail. I can tell you that right now. Your kids are watching you thinking that you are the most perfect person that they know. At least maybe until they become teens, but up until then, you are the center of their universe. And once they see that you make mistakes, you're willing to work on them, they are allowed then to understand that they will make mistakes too, and it does not make them a bad person. Good people make mistakes. It's not about, it doesn't change who you are as a person. This is something that you did, maybe you regret, maybe you want to work on changing it. That's your behavior. That's not who you are as a person, though. And I think when your child makes a mistake, if they feel that I behave badly, so I'm a bad kid, I'm a bad person, then why bother trying to be good? Well, I'm bad anyway. Why should I try to change? Why should I try to do anything different? So really, I think it's important, Alina, to be able to show your child that we all make mistakes. That's going to happen. That's okay. And then you make a repair. You do what you can to fix it. That doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means you're a human. And that's an important lesson for our kids to know, because we don't want our kids to be perfectionistic, because that's a really, that is a tight binding to have to live with. It's a straitjacket. Because if that is the goal, you will fail. And if that is your child's goal, if they think that I need to be perfect in order to be loved, and they're not going to be perfect because nobody is, they're not going to feel loved.
Yeah. It is powerful. And I think that by sharing our stories, by normalizing this, we're helping everyone. I think that that's key, that we understand this myth of perfection that doesn't exist. It is absolutely beautiful that you're sharing this with moms, and that we are giving ourselves permission to use these tools because they are really powerful. It's not a secret that I've been in the mom space for over 20 years now. And when I heard about your method, which is so simple, I was just so excited. And I've invited you to be part of everything I do, because I absolutely love this message. So can you just repeat it again? So what do the 3 S's stand for? And why is this so important that we tell everyone about it?
Sure. So the first S is stop. Stop what you're doing. Stop yelling. Stop. Put your hand over your mouth if you have to, so that you are able to really take a break. You're trying to interrupt the behavior. The next S is soften. Soften towards your child. That is still your child. That is still your baby. That's someone who you love dearly. Not forgetting that, not losing sight of that in the moment, I think is key. And that will help you to see. That's the last S, to see. See your child's point of view, even if you don't agree. The idea is that, that is the core of empathy. That's what empathy means. I see what you're saying. I might not agree with it, but I get it. I understand. And this is really important because it allows you to have that perspective that you need to parent in a way that you're proud of, to do the job that you want to, because I think we all know that this is such an important responsibility. And I think we feel, the stakes are really high. We want to do this well. We don't want to let our child down. And so I think taking ownership and saying, okay, I will not be perfect. That is not the goal. The goal instead is to be able to have the patience, the understanding to help my child by coming alongside them and not at them. And that's what they need. They need our guidance. They're new to this world. And we're showing them how to be in the world, and we're showing them by our example. So you showing the example allows them to follow your lead.
Yeah. And so impactful to see our babies. And I like how you shared it earlier about how we go back to the moment in which we held this baby for the first time in our arms. I think that's such a beautiful tool, and I never thought about that, but that will do the trick to see their point of view. And I think we need that with everyone. Like you said, this is a tool that can help in any relationship, because in all of these relationships we have disagreements and we don't see others, and empathy is so important. I agree with you 100%.
Again, that person is not the enemy. This is somebody who you love, somebody that you care about. In the moment, maybe it feels like, oh, I need to attack them, or I feel like I'm being attacked, so I need to defend. It's not the case. This is somebody that you love.
Mm.
And that allows you to see their perspective, see their point of view. It's universal for any relationship.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And so if someone needs some help, what are some of the ways in which you help people?
For parents, I work from pregnancy on through the teen years. So I work with parents, whether you're struggling with trying to figure out how to be a parent, or if you're having friction with your partner about what to do. When you grow up in different households, your idea of what's normal, what you do is necessarily it's different. So that can create some friction. I think, like I said, if parents are also looking for tools and strategies about how to parent in a way that they are proud of, without yelling, without timeouts, without harsh punishment, there are ways to do that. And so I show parents, simple tools, simple, strategies just like this, to help to make make it easier. I think for a lot of parents, being a parent can be a grind. It's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not what they expected it would be. And so, we want to show up in the best way for our kids. And I think when we're exhausted, when we're out of ideas, it's really hard to do that. So working as a parent coach, working as a psychotherapist, I help parents to have that grounding, that strong foundation, so that they can be the parents that they want to be, so that it doesn't feel like a grind. So it feels like a pleasure, something that
Yeah.
they enjoy. Because I think when you feel that way, it reflects in your children. Your kids will feel that too.
Yeah.
And then for me, this is generational change. If you grew up in a household where there was, where again, you don't want to punish your kids, or you don't want to parent the way that your mom or dad did, this is the way, what you do right now will impact generations.
Yeah.
That I'm convinced of. So if you change how you're doing things, if you change how you parent now, if you're more aware, more conscientious, um, this will have changes. The ripple effect will go on and way into the future.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from you. I'm happy to help. People just want to check in and say, I've got a quick question. They're welcome to do so. I'm happy to help.
I appreciate that. And I thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today. And all of the links are going to be in the show notes. Anything else that you want to share before we end today?
Yeah, I think one thing they can do is just to stop. Like that first part of the S, I think sometimes we're in such a rush. Sometimes just slowing it down, just stopping and taking a deep breath,
Mm.
hitting that pause button. As opposed, we were in a rush, right? We rush, rush, rush. We rush to pick up the kids. We rush to go to, get the groceries, and we're always kind of on this hamster wheel.
Yeah.
I think if we're not intentional about slowing things down, no one's going to hand this to you on a platter and say, "Here you go, Alina. Please take a break."
Yeah.
It happened. So I think if you are, as a parent, willing to do small things for yourself, but do them often, it's not maybe a cruise to Fiji or something really exotic, or, or big. It can be small little things that you do every day, but making sure you're putting those things into place. Because I wish somebody would hand that to you on a platter and say, here, take a break, go lay down, take a nap. Here's a cup of coffee for you. Chances are that's not going to happen. You have to do that for yourself, for better, for worse. But I think if you are dedicated to filling your own cup, making sure you're taking time. Again, I know nobody has a lot of time. I get it. I'm busy
Yeah.
too. And yet, if you are able to carve out, just a couple minutes a few times a day, that makes a huge difference. So getting started on that path, for self-care, showing your child that you are important. Taking care of yourself is important. Your child will do the same when they become parents. You don't need to show that that you're a martyr. I think you can show your child that you are important, you have value, and so do they.
Yeah.
deserve to have your needs met, and so do they. So I think it works in tandem.
I love it. I love it so much. Thank you so much, Olivia, for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for tuning in again to the Transformational Storyteller Show. I will see you next time, and make sure to connect with Olivia in the show notes. Bye-bye.